Hey friends and welcome. It's Dr. Heather coming to you live from Ask Dr. Heather, also known as the Keto Doc, here live from Overland Park, Kansas, where we are having a little bit of an overcast day. Maybe a little bit of rain is coming our way. But happy Friday to all of you. Let me know where you're watching from or where you're maybe traveling to this weekend, because I know a lot of people seem to be traveling this weekend and getting out of their homes, which is a great thing to do. So I wanted to share something that I've been doing for a very long time, and I've had a lot of people asking me to explain exactly the steps that I do to go through my OMAD. And then people are like, what is an OMAD? Well, I had to learn this term too a few years ago because I didn't really call it an OMAD, O-M-E-D. All it simply means is one meal every day. If you've actually ever participated in this, just put OMAD down below so I know that you know exactly what that means. We've all been hearing about fasting, intermittent fasting, dry fasting, wet fasting, extended fasting. So let me know if you've ever done any style of fasting and write down what you've done, if you've done some extended or short-term fasting. So my best practices. So best practice means what I aim to do every day, every week, not always what happens 100% of the time, because I don't think anybody's ever 100% of the time and crushes this 365 days a year, but I aim to do 8 hours of intermittent fasting. One day a week, I do an OMAD, which is one meal every day. So that is on Thursday, because that is generally my busiest day. I generally am in the clinic in the morning, and then I generally was having physical therapy or try to have a bunch of activity on Thursday. And then Friday, because our clinic closes early, my husband is home, and then we try to have early on Fridays. Then we try to have some nice meal on Friday afternoon. That's kind of an earlier meal. So I generally wake up on Thursday. I have my water first of all when I wake up, and I generally have my fat coffee, and then I have kind of a nice big lunch. So I posted my lunch yesterday. It was a big salad with probably 2 or 3 cups of different style of greens and cabbages. Then I had avocado on there, and I had a nice kind of Thai spicy chicken on there. So I had a nice big salad on there, and then the rest of the day, and I ate that probably about 1:30. I posted the time on there. The rest of the day, and then I went on. I had a prosthetic appointment. I had another appointment. Then I came home and did some housework, sorted through some stuff. So I generally make sure I'm pretty busy on those days and keep my activity level high, because I do want to deplete any glucose or glycogen that I have, and keeping busy keeps my mind off of food. I did help prepare part of the meal, but I did not sit with my family. Sometimes I do sit with my family. We had tacos last night, but I was pretty sore after my prosthetic fitting, so I decided just to tap out on that one, let my family have dinner with themselves. But normally I do try to sit with them. And then I generally have an earlier bedtime, so I don't eat in the evening after that one meal a day. So I generally tell people pretty simply, it is just lunch to lunch or brunch to brunch. So Lynn, glad to hear that we are having the similar type of habits. Jason, thanks for joining me. Let me know where you're watching from. So every Thursday to you can do it whatever day works best for your schedule. It's not always on Thursday. Sometimes it happens if we're traveling. That's always a good day for me to do that. Or if something else is busier that we're doing it, sometimes it happens best. I generally don't do it on a weekend, just because if the kids are home for the weekend, generally we want to try to do some type of barbecue or smoking, or generally we're having some type of celebration. But it is a good time if you want to do it. So if you know that you're going to have some type of bigger celebration on Saturday, you could definitely have a bigger lunch on Friday, not have dinner on Friday, not have breakfast Saturday morning, and then have a nice big dinner or early dinner on Saturday. So I still haven't eaten yet today. It's around 4 o'clock. Christian was just asking what we're going to have for dinner. So I ate at 1 o'clock yesterday. I think it's really about 1:30, and then getting ready to eat today as soon as they get back from doing some errands. So why would you do this? Let's talk about that. Who is qualify for it? So as always, I'm not your physician. You need to check with your healthcare provider before making any lifestyle changes, before deciding when to eat or when not to eat. Always go by your healthcare advice. But there's so many amazing, powerful tools that can happen, or this is a really powerful therapy. The clouds are moving in. A powerful therapy that your body can really facilitate from that. So the reason I do it is to really reset my body every single week, give my body time to detox. I explain it like it's a light spring cleaning that happens every week in my body, gives my nervous system time to calm down as I roll into the weekend, give my stomach time to shrink back. If I got any carb creep that accidentally happened in the middle of the week, or any stress that happened, Saturday, Sunday through Monday or Thursday, it just lets my body reset. Also, Also, if there's any inflammation that's happened over the week, if I've been exposed to toxins. Again, I had a really kind of difficult week this week. It was my first day back to physical therapy. Prosthesis wasn't fitting. That caused some pain. Had a lot of pain yesterday trying to get my prosthetic, trying to make some fittings on that. So just trying to get that pain and inflammation down, get the cortisol level down. But for someone who's not even having any type of serious pain or any type of pain condition, it's just a great idea for longevity. Because what we do know, and I've got a few notes here, so when you're talking about longevity and wanting to feel amazing when you hit 50 and fabulous when you hit 50 and want to feel super, super, I don't want to say sexy when you hit 60 and 70, but just feel amazing when you hit 80 or whatever word you want to use, but just feel amazing when you hit 100, then we know that you need to take care of yourself when you're 40, 50, 60. It happens now. It's getting the exercise every day, getting mindset in every day. And we know that 80% of your overall health is indicated or dictated by your diet. So that's why I really find a lot of success using this OMAD one time a week. And again, people ask me, what does that look like? It's simply lunch to lunch or brunch to brunch. And it is having water, coffee, or tea. And I use some herbal tea sometimes at night, some oolong tea, or maybe some green tea if I need to pick up. I do use exogenous ketones, the one that are bioidentical, are pure exogenous ketones made by Prove It. If you want more information, just put info down below and I can get you info on that. But the reason that you do this, or the reason that it's so beneficial for your body, is that when you fast for 24 hours, you increase your body's human growth hormone. And I can go more into detail. I think I'm going to do a studying on this exogenous human growth hormone versus your own body's making it, because there are some detrimental things and a big difference when your body's making it itself, because I know a lot of people out there getting HGH shots or taking HGH by itself in a capsule, but your body can make it, and what it does for its own stem cells, and people are getting stem cell transplants right now, where your body makes its own human growth hormone after 24 hours of fasting. Women, it increases about 1,300%, men about 2,000%. When we talk about slowing down the aging process, slowing down oxidative phosphorylation or oxidation process, which happens inside our body. And when you think about oxidation, think about things that like rust on your car, like your car door inside, or think about things that like dry rot around your house. That's what happens here in the Midwest when you have a moist area and wood on your house. We get wood rot. So that's what's happening inside your body when you don't take care of it and give it time to rest. We also know that your insulin stabilizes. When you're not eating carbohydrates or protein, there's no need for insulin. You actually have a time to reset your insulin and get it reestablished. So it's not having those yo-yos up and down. It actually stops that production and improves the insulin output overall. So it's not yo-yoing all the time. When you're eating from sunup to sundown, and maybe you're not doing intermittent fasting, but for every day you're waking, I wake up, I eat like they tell me within 30 minutes of getting up, and I have a bedtime snack. Your insulin is working all day long, sunup to sundown, yo-yoing, yo-yoing, yo-yoing. When you do an OMAD, then you actually have a little peaceful period that resets and downregulates your insulin, and it gets a break and conserves it for maybe another day when you want to have some carbohydrates or protein. We also know that they find with brief fasting and extended fasting that your electrolytes maintain a very stable condition. I can cite those articles. We know that when you eat carbohydrates, your body requires B6, B12, sodium, potassium. That's why we know a lot of diabetics have a hard time keeping their sodium, potassium in regulation. That's why you also see them on diuretics, because we know the first sign of diabetes is increased thirst, increased urination, because your electrolytes are very out of balance. Well, if you're not eating carbohydrates and your body's not dumping insulin and you're not going to use glucose for fuel, it makes sense that your electrolytes are going to be a lot more balanced. You're going to conserve those B vitamins. We know how hard it is on your adrenal glands when you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, since they're non-essential for survival. It's also going to help stabilize your adrenal glands. Therefore, you're going to find your cortisol, your adrenaline, those are all going to balance out much easier. Then you're going to find your basal metabolic rate, or your metabolism, is actually going to be stimulated again. So think of yourself like a little kiddo that runs around the playground. They're sweating all the time. They're going all the time. They can eat whatever they want, and they eat when they're hungry, and they stop when they're full. That's what can happen when you do this type of practicing, where you really get in touch with your hunger. You really get in touch with your appetite. This is what happens when you actually give your period of time where you stop eating, let things reset, burn through your glucose or glycogen, and then you really realize when you're hungry and when you're not hungry, because then you get some hormones actually signaling your brain. When you're eating from sunup to sundown, you really can't tell. You just know when things really taste taste good and when things don't taste good. So those are just a few of the amazing benefits you can have. We also know your stomach shrinks. It goes back to that normal size, even when you give it a 24-hour rest. We also know that if you're a sugar burner going into something like an OMAD, we know the average person has at least 40,000 stored calories on your body. We know that you have only about 2,000 stored calories. 2,000 calories of that is sugar. So if you're a sugar burner, you have about 2,000 stored calories of sugar. So it may take you, if you burn 2,000 calories a day, or maybe you burn 1,400 calories a day, it may take you a day and a half to get through your sugar. You're going to feel that a little bit more than somebody who's a fat burner. Somebody who's a fat burner, if they do an OMAD, they're actually just going to roll right into burning stored fat. Someone who's a sugar burner, it's going to take them a little bit longer. Some of those tricks are actually getting exercising, get your metabolism going, get your body burning through that glucose and glycogen to get you through that so you have an easier transition. So I do this every single Thursday. I'll pop on here every single Thursday that you guys are asking me to show me what are you doing on your Thursday, Friday OMAD. So again, we're just talking now about dinner. I am starting to get hungry. I'm thinking about grabbing a handful of some nuts or seeds or something, or having another, probably a little bit more water. My mouth is super dry, so that's when I know my ketones are going up, because my body is pulling toxins out of those fat cells. That's a really easy way for me to tell. But if you've ever done an OMAD, and I want to say hi to Lynn from Canada. If you've done an OMAD, drop it down below. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, we can dive into this a little bit deeper. I think one of the best books that I've read lately is Breaking the Obesity Code, and also the Complete Guide to Fasting. Dr. Jason Fung also wrote Breaking the Obesity Code, but he really goes into talking about why our electrolytes are stabilized when we're fasting, because again, you're not really utilizing them so much when you're eating, because when you're eating and you're stressed and there's more nerves in your gut than your spinal cord, when you're using stress and you're using the sodium, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, manganese, magnesium, all those things are being used when your body's under stress, when it's digesting food, when it's having to figure out, is this a toxin, is this not a toxin, is this a red dye number 40, is this a blue dye, is this a yellow dye, is this some type of pesticide I need to sort out and not digest, or if it's putting too much stress, if it's too large of a meal for me to digest right now, is that too large of a serving of protein, because we can only really digest about 4 to 4.5 ounces of protein at a time, then we know that that's too much stress on the gut and the nervous system. Or if you've got a hidden food allergy that you're continuing to digest, that's going to actually hinder the immune system, hinder the eosinophils, the neutrophils, the lymphocytes, and you're going to start to see changes in your H&H with that, on your CBC. I know it's a little sciencey, but all those things create a domino of effect when you can just take a break and say, let my body rest and repose. Let's kind of reestablish the electrolyte balance. Let's reestablish the insulin. Let's let it slow down and let it improve that normal balance and kind of reset. Amazing things can happen. This is even when your diet's not perfect. People get confused. Well, if I'm not intermittent fasting 6 days a week, can I still do this, or should I still do this? Absolutely. What if I'm a carbitarian and I'm eating sun up to sundown? Would this benefit me? Absolutely. So I really want to just encourage you to even maybe just try, if you've never tried this, going lunch to lunch, and maybe you have, maybe you've had a colonoscopy scheduled. This is when I see most people doing it. They know they can eat until midnight, and they eat until midnight, and then they know they have to wake up the next morning, go for a colonoscopy or go for a dental procedure or some other type of elective procedure. They seem to be able to go that long without eating and then not even drinking. But I'm saying, yes, you can drink. Yes, you can have coffee. Yes, you can have herbal tea, unless it's an allergen for you in those periods where you're not eating food. And again, I wouldn't over caffeine it, because that can be too much of a stimulant for you, especially if you're caffeine sensitive. So thank you for joining me here today. And I think I want to dive a little bit deeper into, because fasting is a super hot topic. I get a lot of questions about it, but always check with your healthcare provider first. I think we'll talk about the safety and efficacy of doing some fasting, some short-term fasting, intermittent fasting for someone who is a type 2 diabetic. Remember, type 1 is an autoimmune condition. Type 2 is one where we've actually become insulin resistant, metabolic resistant. We've overused our glucose and pancreatic system, our cells that have actually just got worn out, and we need to kind of treat them with TLC, but it is a reversible, remissible condition. That's what's most exciting about diabetes type 2. But I also want to give a big shout out. If you want to know more about the keto conversation, there's an amazing virtual summit this week. I'm calling it a summit. It's called an Academy this weekend, and I actually did post it a couple days ago. It is free. Amazing speakers from around the world. We have a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Dr. Ken Ford, who runs STEM Talk, will be speaking. Dr. Mary Newport, who is a top book author on the top 10 list. She's written written 3 different books on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and coconut oil. She'll be speaking this weekend. Also, I mean, the lineup is big. The Ketogenic Bible, Dr. Ryan Lowry, Dr. Jacob Wilson will be speaking. I did post it down below. All you need to do is just register for it. It will be streamed via Zoom or BITYL, the Biddle link. So I know that there's a limited number of seats. You do need to register for each one of the events. So just make sure you register and get your spot. Anybody can join. You can share it on your Facebook wall if you want. Just share it from down below. I don't get any money. There's no profiting from it on my aspect, just people learning about education. So hope you guys can join us. It starts tomorrow morning and it runs Saturday and Sunday, and the hours are posted so you can pick and choose what hours work best for you. You guys have an amazing day. Thanks for joining me. Again, this is Dr. Heather, also known as the Keto Doc. So you can have an amazing weekend. And again, big congrats to everybody who is on our 10-day keto kickstart.